Speaking of Donald Trump, as I said, this story is about a meltdown. Donald Trump continues to panic. He's terrified. He is filled with fear over the fact that he knows there's some damning evidence being brought against him in these now 4 indictments, and he was caught up in a lot of wrongdoing, potentially unlawful wrongdoing, and is terrified of being held accountable. And the other day, or I should say, I guess yesterday, throughout yesterday, he posted 31 videos in 5 hours on his Truth Social account. Mediaite reported this as Trump goes on Truth Social bender, posts 31 videos in 5 hours. Just as you might be able to expect, angry about and making threats in relation to his legal troubles. In reality, he's being held legally accountable for potential violations of the law. In his fantasy world, he's being politically persecuted for doing nothing wrong. I did everything right and they indicted me, as he'll say. And so you'll definitely pick up on that as we go through some of these videos. Starting off with this, and this is kind of the theme of the videos I'll show you here. He is saying that essentially, I'm going to get my revenge and we're going to do this to Democrats. Meaning, we're going to do what we're wrongly accusing Democrats of doing to us, but we're actually going to do it to Democrats if he became president. God forbid, in 2025 after the 2024 election. Here's the first clip.
These indictments and lawsuits are all part of my political opponent's campaign plan. It is election interference, and they are going to use the DOJ and the FBI to help them, which is totally illegal. It's what happened before. You remember the FBI and Twitter. They call it Twitter files and so much more. Crooked Joe pushed this litigation hard to get it done. He wanted to get it done and get it done as fast because he can't put 2 sentences together. This is a new low in presidential politics. To the Democrats, I say, be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you wish for, he says. If he was being honest and he used that phrase, it would be referring to the fact, I guess, that I guess I should say, if what is being done to Trump was done to Democrats, that would be great, meaning the law is being applied. And even if you're powerful, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, that should apply to you 100%. So yes, do that to Democrats, but he doesn't mean that. He means, I want to do the thing, as I said, that I'm wrongly accusing the other side of doing. So I want to unfairly, regardless of the evidence, push for the prosecution of whatever that means pragmatically as president. Not exactly sure, pressuring the attorney general, who knows. But to go after my political opponents, I actually want to politically persecute my political opponents, which, as I said in a past segment, authoritarianism, those pushing it or having ambitions in line with an authoritarian ideology, always have a justification they'll trot out. They'll always have some words they'll use to justify what they're doing. It's not just, yes, I'm unfairly politically persecuted. He'll have an excuse of, well, they did it to me. But when you go look at the evidence, when you go look at the accusations, the process that has played out, that doesn't actually make itself present again in the reality when it comes to his legal troubles. In his situation, it's pretty clear that he potentially violated the law and thus should be held accountable for that, even though he is a presidential candidate and former president. No one's above the law. But he's saying, regardless of the evidence, I'm just going to, as a form of retribution, go after my political opponents, which is very dangerous and authoritarian. And then another example of this.
We have a Department of Injustice rigging the election for crooked Joe Biden. Unless it is quickly stopped, all future elections will follow the same path. Our country is heading down a very, very dangerous road, and it has to stop. These are very dishonest people we're dealing with. We have to make our country great again. And if our elections are going to be rigged, or if they're going to use weaponization on elections, it's going to be very tough to make it great. We are a nation in decline. We are a nation that is failing.
I do want to point out again, separate from what I just went through with the bulk of the talking points there, it is wild that so quickly the GOP went from saying that if you criticize America in any way or don't say that is the greatest thing ever, then you hate America. And any criticism or any talk of trying to address problems is you saying you hate America often, was kind of the line. And definitely if you won't say America's great, they would say that's hating America. Now his whole slogan, as has been for a while, is make America great again, meaning it's not now. He'll say we're not a great country anymore in other clips we've looked at. And then he says we're a nation in serious decline, we're a third world nation, we're a banana republic. And Republicans are fine with it. Saying it's shameful that we don't have universal health care as every other industrialized nation does, and so many people are being harmed because of that, and that makes me angry, would be hating America often. That's what the accusation would be. Or saying, let's address systemic racism. You hate America. But saying, we're a third world nation and serious decline and blah, blah, blah. That's not hating America. Huge contradiction there, obviously. And then here's another example of him saying, Republican, DAs, prosecutors, I hope you're watching what's happening to me. I want you to do that to others.
I hope that Republican district attorneys and attorney generals throughout the country are closely watching the tremendous weaponization of justice that is being utilized against me. There's never been anything like it. But you ought to watch, and frankly, it's an eye for an eye, or it's fight fire with fire. What they're doing to our country is amazing. So Republicans, I hope you're watching.
Have to fight fire with fire, he says. And again, I'll say, if by due to you, or excuse me, due to others what is being done to you, I agree. Uphold the law no matter who it is. But what he's actually saying is do what I am lying about the other side doing to me, to others. And then I'm not really going to subject you to a bunch more, but let me just give you an example of how many different videos he posted over and over on the same subject, as if he's sort of trying to, not brainwash, what's the term whenever you hypnotize, there we go, trying to hypnotize his followers by just repeating over and over, this is weaponization, this is weaponization, this is weaponization. Because watch how many videos in such a short span of time he posted on the same subject.
Joe Biden, our country is going through some very difficult times. The rule of law is being destroyed, and the justice
okay, so then he goes on.
Are conceived and run by radical left Democrats, the same lunatics that are destroying our country.
Okay, and we continue.
Deranged Jack Smith and his team of thugs.
Okay, and then another video.
America is becoming a banana republic. That's what happens when you indict.
If he repeats the lies enough, he thinks they'll believe it, which they do, unfortunately.
These crazy indictments against me should be viewed as campaign contributions to crooked Joe Biden. And
okay, and then I'll let this one play a little bit further so I can debunk it.
It has just been reported that aides to Trump prosecutor, deranged Jack Smith, he is a deranged person, met with high officials at the White House just prior to these political sleazebags indicting me over nothing. If this is so, which it is because we have proof, that means that Biden and his fascist thugs knew and approved of the country's dividing form of election interference. In other words, they knew exactly what was happening.
This is a complete unimportant side note, but isn't it interesting as he talks, it looks like so much energy goes into getting his mouth to move. Random. But in relation to that talking point, as NBC News reports, let me give you a little bit of context first. So the New York Post reported, if I'm not mistaken, what he's talking about of an aide to Jack Smith met with someone at the White House, and then they said that means that Biden is directing these things. And I've seen this covered multiple times and not a whole lot of direct fact checking. So just so we can go through that claim one time, let me go through this. Again, NBC News. A source directly familiar with the meeting said Saba had facilitated a meeting between Bratt, a key investigator in the documents case, and a career White House official who was in the same position in the Trump administration as well. And then the White House counsel was there because it was a White House employee. So to explain what's going on there, it wasn't an aide of Jack Smith going to meet with someone to coordinate the prosecution of Biden with the Biden administration or whatever. It was as a part of the investigation into the willful retention of national defense information by Donald Trump. someone who worked in the Trump administration needed to be talked to. And that was a career White House official. And so because they also worked in the Trump administration, could have some knowledge, they were talked to by an aide of Jack Smith as a part of this investigation. And then the White House counsel, to protect legally, to be alongside this career White House official, was present for the meeting. And so it was very profoundly reasonable, and as is always the case, twisted into a story that can fit the conspiratorial narrative that is being pushed. So there's Trump's most recent meltdown. There's even more. He's gone on, and I'll likely get into that tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are able to be uploaded to the YouTube channel, plus get the bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.